It's news day. Hello. We're basically caught up. Well, after today, we'll be caught up. So today we're going through the big stuff for the week, the small stuff that we didn't get through last time, as well as whatever other things happened this week. There is a dev dub. Let's do it. Okay. First, the usual stuff. We've got more layoffs. This is Victoria Phillips Kennedy, Eurogamer. Okay, Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics announces yet another round of layoffs. Difficult but necessary decision. Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics has announced yet more layoffs at the studio, calling it a difficult but necessary decision. In a post on LinkedIn, the studio said it had parted ways with just under 30 employees. These employees came from a variety of projects and departments within the company, with Crystal Dynamics calling it part of restructuring for our next generation. They additionally cited the next entry in the Tomb Raider series, which the studio is working on with Amazon, because Amazon owns the rights to everything. That's part of the reason for its decision. To our players, as the realities of the industry continue to evolve, we've made these painful choices as a way to optimize the continued development of our flagship Tomb Raider game, as well as shaping the rest of the studio to make new games for the future. The post thanked those impacted by layoffs for their incredible talent, hard work, and dedication, which helped shape the studio in so many ways. Adding, we are committed to offering our fullest resources and support to you during this transition. Appreciated support during the changes, blah, 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 the, shifting industry, catching up, AI, all this bullshit. It's getting everywhere. It's infecting everything. Luckily, side note, semi-related news. I don't have a link for this, but, there are starting to get more high-profile, I don't even call them Wall Street people. If anyone's ever seen The Big Short, that real-life dude, and a bunch of people at his level are all noticing that, hey, this AI stuff seems pretty sus. We don't think it's actually going to do as good as people are saying it's going to do. All these companies are talking about how their hardware is going to last a lot longer than it should theoretically be possible. So the actual profit margins are all fake because it takes way more money to replace all that hardware every 3, 4, 5 years. And they're saying it's going to last 7 years. That's not how that works. So, keep that in mind, gamers. Next up, Krafton. Krafton is now asking people to voluntarily resign. Just like we talked about last week with, I think it was Ubisoft. Ed Nightingale, Eurogamer. South Korean publisher Krafton announced it's transforming into an AI-first company and is now reducing human jobs with a voluntary resignation scheme. They call it a scheme, which is great because it is. The move comes after the company recorded record-breaking performance in the most recent financial quarter and has announced large-scale investments of over 100 billion won each in the Indian market and AI sectors, as reported by Business Korea. Known for the likes of Inzoi, Subnautica, and PUBG, maintains the scheme is not a layoff plan for workforce reduction. The core purpose is to support members in proactively designing their growth direction and embarking on new challenges both inside and outside the company amid the era of AI transformation. It's an era. The company plans to support members in autonomously deciding whether to continue the direction of change internally or expand externally. They're going to start firing people, is what they're saying. They announced it back in October, blah, 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 blah. But now they're asking people to resign before they start laying people off, which is what's going to happen. Oof, big oof. And then speaking of the AI revolution or whatever it is, we've got Nexon now. Connor Makar, Eurogamer. Nexon CEO believes it's important to assume that every game company is now using AI. Blech. Blech. CEO of Nexon, publisher of Embark Studios, latest popular extraction shooter, Arc Raiders. Remember, Arc Raiders is using a lot of AI voice work. Way more than they did with the finals. Way more. Who knows what other AI things are being put in there. There's also rumors that the new Call of Duty has a lot of AI art in it. So keep an eye on that. In an interview with GameSpark, translated by Automaton, CEO Jung-Hun Lee was asked how big an impact emerging technologies, including AI, will have on future Nexon games. To this, he responded with a positive outlook on the controversial tech. The introduction of AI has greatly improved the efficiency of game production processes and live service operations. In that sense, it feels like the average of games and live services is gradually improving. First of all, I think it's important to assume that every game company is now using AI. But if everyone is working with the same or similar technologies, the real question becomes, how do you survive? I believe it's important to choose a strategy that increases your competitiveness. That statement makes absolutely zero sense. Absolutely zero sense. Because for decades, companies have been using the same or similar technologies, and it's been way less competitive. Now everyone's like, oh, we have to compete by doing this. No one was doing that earlier. Huh? It wasn't like that before. What are you talking about? Lee stated that human creativity is the answer to that question. A belief that echoes what Embark Studios CCO Stefan Strandberg said earlier this year. In that discussion, Strandberg emphasized there's no shortcut to making great games, believing that developer creativity and ideas remain crucial to making games like Arc Raiders. Blah, 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 blah. Still, Lee's stance that it's important to assume every game company is using AI is a contested one. Strange Scaffold founder, they spelled his name wrong. It's Xavier Nelson, who also, I think they also made the click holding game that we played. Responded publicly to these claims by dubbing them normalization bullshit, posting on Blue Sky, the people who will most profit from the quality and connection sapping technology being assumed to be inevitable want you to give up on pushing against it today by believing that fight is already over. He also said some other stuff. If you go into the actual post, he did like a quote tweet or whatever saying that for his company, his development studio, we don't use generative AI at Strange Scaffold, and I can confirm that a lot of other studios are not, whether indie or AAA. Get out of here with this normalization bullshit. Goes on to say, is pressure increasing? Absolutely. Are investors and management pushing to just try it, hoping issues with tech will resolve itself and that developers and audiences will gradually get worn down and just accept it, slipping into more and more of the work? For sure, but it's not there yet. The people who will most profit from this quality connection sapping, we read this already, but it says, don't give in, don't be fooled, don't accept the thing that already making our medium worse. And one other thing, we're being told that AI is the hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. And one other thing, we're being told that AI is the only way to make games cheaper and faster, to pull us from this precipice of production nightmares the industry has found itself in, that it's necessary. We put roughly 3 motherfucking games a year not touching the stuff. Skill issue. That rules. That guy rules. Again, it's all these people at the top of these companies that just have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They're completely out of touch. It seems like such a big scam. It just seems like such a big scam. I don't understand it. They're living in a world that the vast majority of other people do not live in. Next up, we got an update about the Rockstar layoffs. When they tried to union bust, allegedly. Chris Cully and VGC. 220 Rockstar North staff have signed a letter demanding their fired colleagues are immediately reinstated. Earlier this month, Rockstar dismissed over 30 staff across its offices in the UK and Canada for what it called gross misconduct related to what it called the alleged leaking of what it called happened twice in there. But they said it was an act of union busting. But they said it was gross misconduct. Earlier this week, the IWGB issued a legal claim against Rockstar, claiming the employees were dismissed in circumstances that we believe amount to victimization and collective dismissal linked to trade union activity. Now the union says 220 current employees at the Edinburgh-based Rockstar North have delivered a letter to senior management condemning the firing of 31 employees and demanding their immediate reinstatement to their colleagues. No response yet, but hopefully this does go through. I don't know, like, the logistics of them having to like reinstate all these people, because then they're admitting that they were, union busting, because they will be admitting it if they do that. So who knows what's gonna happen here? But hopefully those people at least find new and better jobs if they don't get rehired at Rockstar. That should be it for the most of like the super downer things here. Next up, let's go and talk about the Steam console that got announced. Paste and go. Steam has announced a console. I think it was leaked a little bit before the official announcement too. Chris calling VGC. Valve announces a new Steam console controller and VR headset. I'm very interested in the VR headset actually. Valve said it plans to ship all 3 products in the same regions they currently ship Steam Deck. They will start shipping in early 2026 with specific launch timing and pricing to be confirmed later. So no prices yet. We've been super happy with the success of Steam Deck. said Gabe Newell, president of Valve. And PC gamers have continued asking for even more ways to play all the great titles in their Steam libraries. Our work over the years on other hardware, and even more importantly on SteamOS, has enabled Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame to do just that. The Steam Machine is a 6-inch console, like a cube, with over 6 times the horsepower of a Steam Deck. So it's 6 by 6 by 6 cube, which is like it's like less than the size of my phone, basically, with 6 times the power. That's a lot of power in that small a box, but also not that much more power than the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck is not really that powerful. The machine has 1 gigabit Ethernet, DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, as well as 1 USB-C port and 4 USB-A ports. Come in 512 and 2 terabyte. Why would you ever get the 512 option? Why would you ever get the 512 option? Yeah, triple sixes. Power supply will be built in, meaning it won't have a power brick. Okay. Built-in wireless adapter to connect the Steam controller. Don't have to plug in USB puck receiver. 4K gaming at 60 FPS with FSR thanks to discrete semiconducting AMD desktop class CPU and GPU. I wonder if it's the combined same AMD chip that Xbox is trying to use. It's also claiming the Steam Machine keeps cool, runs whisper quiet, and even while running the most demanding games. Powerful enough to stream games to other devices, including Steam Deck, Steam Frame, or other devices running Steam Link. Steam Machine verified program, how well each game will run on the device. This actually is not like, it's the first iteration, so it's like it's always going to be like hesitant, right, to go for the first iteration of new like technology. But I feel like they've probably been working on this long enough. I hate the controller. I hate this. Who actually uses these thumb pads as like mouse? Who does that? This controller looks awful. I don't think I'll ever use that. All right, features and specs. Semi-custom AMD Zen 4, 16 up to 4.8 gigahertz, 30 watts. Interesting. AMD RNA 3. Interesting. Ray tracing supported. 16 gigabyte DDR5, 8 gigabyte DDR6 VRAM. Only 16? I wonder if they'll make this. There's no way they make this upgradable. There's no way. Only 16 gigabytes is kind of like gross. Micro SD card slot for expanded storage. That's kind of cool. I don't really care about that. Steam controller they talk about. Steam Frame is a streaming first virtual reality headset which can be played wirelessly, similar to the Meta Quest headset. It also comes with 2 handheld controllers, look similar to those of the Quest. Those controllers look really nice. USB plug, 6 gigahertz wireless adapter. The same thing about the display. Eye tracking to optimize detail. Mainly designed for streaming VR and non-VR games from a Steam PC or Steam Machine. Valve says the Steam Frame is a PC running SteamOS, a Snapdragon 8 series processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Snapdragon 8, so it's got similar processor to like the Surface line of like laptops and tablets. Interesting. So it is basically, yeah, a PC. It should have good battery then. It doesn't say anything about the screen. Wait, here? Optics. Pancake optics. 260 by 2160 LCD per eye. 72 to 144 large FOV. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think I kind of want both. Not gonna lie. I probably won't get a new if there's a new Steam Deck. I don't think they talk about it. I won't get the new Steam Deck, but these two things I might think about. The VR headset overall, yes, because I still have like the first generation whatever it is, the HTC Vive, which is very cumbersome. All right, next up, let's just quickly run through the Japan State of Play. They announced a bunch of games. Chris calling VGC, everything announced during the State of Play. All right, Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, RPG Remake, Income Beanie One Store, Many Stores, Indie Simulation Game, Coffee Talk Tokyo, Dragon Quest 7 Income Beanie, Coffee Talk Tokyo, barista themed, Broken Lore and Follow, Broken Lore Ascend, Climbing the Tokyo Tower, series of horror games, Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake, Dynasty Warriors Origins, Visions of 4 Heroes DLC, Gran Turismo 7 Power Pack DLC, Motion Wreck, recording your movements then playing them back at different points in the stage, Wandering Sword, Martial Arts RPG, No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI, no thank you, Tokyo Extreme Racer, Once Upon a Katamari 2 DLC packs, Pac-Man World 2, Digimon Story Time Stranger, Episode Pack 1 DLC, people really like that game, Super Robot Wars Y, Monster Hunter Wilds Title Update 4, damn, 4, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, Sega DLC and SpongeBob DLC, Nevergrave the Witch and the Curse, Blaze Blue Entropy Effect, Damon and Baby, Twin Stick Shooter, Kuren Mechanism, McKay's, I don't know. Action RPG from the team behind Disgaea series. Fate Trigger, Tactical Hero Shoot, Octopath Traveler 0. Ooh. They showed off a Marvel Tokon. Elden Ring Night Ring DLC, Forsaken Hollows, hell yeah. Big update. Super excited about that. So, a new monitor. Only in Japan. 27-inch 1440p HDRF, 240Hz refresh rate, VRR support. It includes a charging hook for the DualSense controller. Cool. I bet it's way overpriced. Let's see. They got a price on this? They got a price on this bad boy? I mean, it doesn't matter. It's only in... Oh, it does say the US. I bet it's going to be like $800. And then an exclusive digital Japanese edition that's going to be slightly cheaper, but still more expensive than they were when they were originally released. Gross. And that's basically it for bigger news. Time for small news. I'll try to run through these. So this covers like the past month, including this week. Chris calling VGC. A former Assassin's Creed boss says he didn't resign. He was asked to step aside by Ubisoft. Mark Alexis Cote. When the company announced he resigned, he came back and said, no, that's not correct. From the messages of colleagues, friends, and fans, a recurring theme has emerged that I feel the need to clarify. Many of you have expressed surprise that I would choose to leave Assassin's Creed after so many years, especially given the passion I still hold for it. The truth is simple. I did not make that choice. Ubisoft decided to transfer the leadership of Assassin's Creed franchise to someone closer to its new organizational structure. A different position was mentioned, but it did not carry the same scope, mandate, or continuity with the work I had been entrusted with in recent years. I want to be clear, I hold no resentment. Ubisoft has been my home for all my professional life, and I will always be grateful for the people, the project, and the belief that together we could create worlds that inspire millions. I did not walk away. I stayed at my post until Ubisoft asked me to step aside. As someone who grew up inspired by Star Trek, The Next Generation, in the later years of my career, I came to see myself as the captain of the Assassin's Creed ship, someone who leaves only once every soul on board is safe, and that is exactly what I've done for as long as I could. Despite being offered several opportunities to be part of the leadership team shaping our strategic direction, Mac respectively declined and decided to look to start his next chapter elsewhere. Oof. Ubisoft seems to just be getting shadier and shadier. Assassin's Creed. Next up, a new Intellivision? Huh? Chris calling VGC. Decades after the first ever console war, Atari is re-releasing its former rival Intellivision's console. Huh? This looks pretty... It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. This is really good for them collectors out there. It was released by Mattel in 1979. So let's just look at the video here. I'm so happy that we figured out why these things don't work. Because this is running at 1080. This is sick. New Intellivision. Arcade games versus sports games. Now they're together. Intellivision Sprint by Atari. All the details you remember. Now with HDMI, USB ports, and wireless controllers. 45 built-in games. That's a lot. I mean, but they're all they're tiny games, right? Astro Mash. Shark. So much. I like the overlays for the game controllers. This is cool. So that you know what button does what no matter which game you're playing. You just put it on over the controller. And they're USB-C charging. On your mark, get set, play. Priced at $180, it said. Set for release on December 5th in the USA and Australia and December 23rd in Europe. Priced at $150. That's not bad. It's all updated new technology. I like the box art and everything. It's pretty cool. Hell yeah. Next up, some original workers on Battlefield 6 apparently were not credited. Chris calling VGC. Halo co-creator says he's disappointed he and some former colleagues weren't credited for their work on Battlefield 6. Marcus Leto. He left Ridgeline Games in February 2024, saying he had left EA on my own accord and announced that he was taking time away from games to see what, if anything, he wants to do next. But after the game came out, he noticed in the credits, I am disappointed to see that many of my former teammates from Ridgeline Games were not properly credited in the recent release of Battlefield 6. These talented developers worked tirelessly for 1 to 2.5 years, building the foundation of the game before I left voluntarily and the studio was subsequently shuttered. Despite their significant contributions, most who were laid off were relegated to special thanks section at the very end of the credits, and several were omitted entirely, including myself. So he led the team from Ridgeline Games, which did close down, that originally worked on Battlefield 6, and then he showed in there the list of people that were omitted. Wild stuff. I think there's still been no, as of when this came out, like 3 weeks ago, there's been no update on this from EA or anybody, and I don't think that they will. This is a very like Nintendo-esque thing for them to do. All right, speaking of Nintendo, we got an update on their patent lawsuit stuff. Chris Cullen, VGC U.S. Patent Office Director orders re-examination of Nintendo's patent on summoning characters to make them battle. The U.S. PTO has ordered a rare patent re-examination after Nintendo acquired the patent and other mechanics. Pokemon games, shit that they were trying to, because, Pal World and everything. U.S. PTO Director John A. Squires has personally ordered a re-examination of the patent, citing previous patents which may make it invalid. Specifically, Squires has focused on the patent's claim to have a sub-character fight alongside you with the option to make them fight either automatically or via manual control. He had determined that subsequential new questions of patentability have arisen based on the publications of two previous patents named as Yabe and Taura. Yabe patent was granted in 2002 to Konami, refers to a sub-character. Granted in 2020 to Nintendo, refers to a sub-character who battles alongside a player. So many these should be called like micro patents, right? Because they're all like very specific things in specific games that are patented. So I don't know how far this is gonna go. Still no update on this that I could find as of like a week or so ago. But I'm glad that people are starting to notice that this is slightly shady and needs to be extra looked at. They're getting away with like all this stuff way too easily. Next, a Scarface game remake or remaster was released without anyone giving it the okay, like the official game. Chris Cullen, VGC. Scarface game modder claims surprise PC remaster was listed without the film IP owner's knowledge. Ugh. So earlier today, this was 22nd of October, a re-release of the official Scarface game, which was originally released on PS2, Xbox, and PC in 2006, 20 years ago, followed by a Wii release in 2007, appeared on the Epic Game Store without prior notice, priced at $30, out of nowhere. The game was then listed on Steam, with a parent publisher EC Digital posting a statement that had been unintentionally pushed live on a different platform earlier than planned, and so it was now accelerating our efforts to finalize a Steam version 2. Also claims that when the game is released on Steam, it will include an optional HD graphics update which uses AI-assisted techniques to improve certain visual elements. When Reddit user PC Machinima bought the Epic Game Store version, they discovered that it was essentially the existing PC version of the game with two fan-made patches. Silent Patch and Fusion Fix pre-installed. Hold on. The discovery led to a statement on X by Silent, the developer behind the Silent Patch mod, who said they weren't contacted and informed about its inclusion. They also suggested, presumably from their previous work on the game, that they'd be surprised if the Scarface movie rights holder, NBC Universal, was aware of the release. They said, "I know that the holder of Scarface license wasn't willing to re-release the game, so this is suspect." They did more digging, claimed the movie IP rights holder appeared to be unaware of this and that the store listings were put early in error. And then the update was, the game's publisher has now posted an update saying it had entered urgent discussions with multiple parties concerning the project status. They believe that temporarily hiding the store page is the most appropriate step forward. We've already begun coordinating with Valve to make that happen shortly. Current page was initially intended as a placeholder while we work through ongoing licensing technical matters. So they really didn't talk to anybody at all about releasing this and just released it. That's kind of crazy. All right, we got a few more to go through. We're almost done. Next up, a small update on the Stop Killing Game stuff. I think it's been a minute since we looked at this. Andy Robinson, VGC. So it did go to Parliament, but I don't think anything happened about it. One of the representatives said the Stop Killing Games movement highlights the growing frustration among players who see their purchases vanish. It is clear that digital ownership must be respected and that publishers should look to provide routes for players to retain or repair games even if the official service support for products ends. Henry Tunfeld, the MP for Mid and South Pembrokeshire, urged the government to consider the cultural importance of video games when reviewing consumer protections. I agree about the extent to which games have a cultural identity and that to take them down erases a culture, an artist, artistic heritage that is so vital to society and to the wider industry as well. But what did they say? Consumers were asking simply for a fairly simple guarantee. But I'm not demanding that publishers keep servers running forever. Companies are not asking for indefinite technical support. And then, yeah, it says that they basically they just talked about it. They didn't really make any decision. And I don't think anything is assumed to have come from this other than people talking about it in government. Still shitty. Hopefully something does happen. But as of right now, all that's happened is they talked about it. It's a very, very long read. Next up, Halo Infinite is ending support earlier than they originally intended. 4 years into its 10-year plan, Halo Infinite is officially ending major updates. Andy Robinson, VGC. The news was shared in a lengthy blog post detailing Halo Infinite's next update, Operation Infinite, which will release on the 18th in 4 days. As we look back on 4 years of evolution and updates in Halo Infinite, we'd like to thank our community for your steadfast support. Without your feedback and enthusiasm, Halo Infinite multiplayer would not be the special place it is today. A robust arena for slaying and playing, with something for every Spartan. With multiple Halo titles in development, we'll need our whole team's combined focus to deliver new experiences with the same passion and care that our community has given us. While we remain committed to supporting Halo Infinite on the road ahead, Operation Infinite is the last major content update currently planned. Welp, that's unfortunate. I did have a lot of fun putting legitimate work hours into this game when it was released. Just to keep up with those battle passes. I think I completed like the first 2 and then was like, I don't have time for this. But maybe we jump back into it for the last update. Because it seems like they're really ramping up for something cool. We already know about the campaign evolved. Hopefully there's maybe a secret multiplayer attached to it. Next up, there was a Switch 2 system update that put a lot of quality of life stuff into the UI. Chris Scully, VGC. Brings both systems up to version 21.0 available now. Adds a number of new features designed to improve the experience of using the main console OS. Includes the ability to cancel multiple downloads at the same time, option to reduce audio latency when plugging headphones into a Switch 2 Pro controller, option to turn off auto sleep when using game chat. Why is reduced audio latency an option? Why should that just not be the standard? Switch system update adds the ability to disable certain options when performing a system transfer to Switch 2. They will no longer transfer album data or make the Switch 2 automatically re-download all software. Game icons in the home menu will now also receive symbols which make it easier to tell at a glance whether a game is digital or physical title. Thank you. That's a great one. I love that. And we got the full patch notes here, but a bunch of quality of life stuff. Apparently also this update has messed with a lot of third-party docks on the Switch 2, so keep that in mind. All right, couple more. According to PlayStation slash Sony, Destiny 2 has not reached the potential that it has been expected. This is Ed Nightingale, Eurogamer. In today's earnings report, Sony has recorded a loss in profit in its game segment due to impairment losses against a portion of Bungie, intangible and other assets in connection with Destiny 2. Speaking on this during the QA session, Sony CFO Lin Tao stated, regarding Destiny 2, partially due to the changes in the competitive environment, the level of sales and user engagement have not reached the expectations we had in the time of the acquisition of Bungie. She continued, while we continue to make improvements, we downwardly revised the business projection for the time being and recorded an impairment loss against a portion of the assets at Bungie. It's almost as if all these acquisitions were all hyped up to work out way more than realistically what would have happened. It's almost as if the same thing is happening with AI. God, they're so dumb. All right, the last of the small news. Some updates on the Black Ops 7 stuff. Based. Jordan Miller, VGC. Black Ops 7 can't be paused during single player and requires an online connection at all times. Gross. In Black Ops 7, you can go solo or squad up with up to 3 other players in this innovative co-op campaign that redefines the Black Ops experience. The overriding goal with the story of Black Ops 7 was to tell a story that could stand on its own while honoring the legacy of the series. Meaningful opportunities to allow reconnection with characters, yada, yada, yada. But it needs to be online. Released this past Friday, or today. New multiplayer suite zombies, refreshed co-op focused single player campaign. Discovered that the game single player portion can't be paused, even if there's only one person playing. And they don't have checkpoints. The game single player doesn't have checkpoints. The mission needs to be completed in one sitting. So keep that in mind, all you Black Ops players that like the campaign. It might be a little bit more annoying to play through it this time. Gotta love the Call of Duty franchise. All right, let's get through these couple chat picks that we have here. So Nintendo released a giant box set of Zelda vinyls, like way more than necessary. How many discs is it? It's like 9 discs or something. No, I don't know if it's that much. Hold on. 8. I was close. It was 8. It's 8 discs. There is a 2-disc set that you can get, but if you want every single sound in the game, basically, it's 8 discs, 8 vinyls. That's so much. That's so many giant discs. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. I guess, I mean, all the art is really awesome. Like, all of the sleeve art is really cool, but, oh, that's so much. That is so much. Just so much stuff, you know? Next up, The Sims creators quit EA partnerships amid buyout concerns. Content creators specializing in The Sims 4 content are leaving EA's creator network in protest after EA confirmed it to be acquired. Ugh. And when we say creators, it's not like the people that made The Sims. It's like it says, the content creators. Being part of a community that has always strived to be welcoming and inclusive, some The Sims creators now fear the documented conservative values of EA's buyers, which include Trump's son-in-law and Saudi Arabia's Prince Mohammed bin Salman, will impact the game's development, with insisting the values represented by the people acquiring EA are fundamentally at odds with that of the Sims community. Hell yeah. Keep doing shit like this, because otherwise, no one's going to give a shit, right? All this shady bullshit happening. Someone's got to, from the inside, people need to start talking about it. And this is a good way. Hopefully they find new spots with other games. But the whole shady acquisition for EA stuff is like, oh, it's disgusting. And last of the chat picks before we go into the dev dub. After a decade, Fallout 4's busted VAT system is getting fixed. Oh my god. This is Patricia Hernandez, Polygon. VATS was in fact broken. We now know this because Bethesda is releasing Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, which streamlines the modding experience, adds a few quality of life features, and fixes some issues. VATS is one of them, which is very noticeable if you've ever played the game. VATS hit chances are now consistent across platforms and no longer drop to 0% or show incorrect values, the patch notes read. There's no commentary or anything about this wild revelation. The patch notes just move on. Players in the comments aren't really remarking on it either, instead mostly focusing on the fact that the patch will break existing mods that aren't compatible with the new version of the game. It's funny too because this also means that playing Fallout 4 was apparently a worse experience on some platforms than others, and the game was not consistent with its VATS percentages. Let's go. When is this coming out? When is this coming out? Oh, it came out already. What else is it? Has November 10th release date, include all 6 of the previously released DLC add-ons, as well as over 150 items pulled from Fallout 4 Creation Club, which focused on game changes, improvements from content creators. I think I have most of the DLC anyway. I don't know. I'm thinking about, maybe I'll get it. We'll see what it is. Maybe we'll get it, because I do want to jump back into Fallout 4 and replay it, because it's a fun game. All right, let's go to the dev dub. This week's dev dub goes to Sega. Chris Cullen, VGC. Sega is raising Japanese employee salaries again 3 years after its previous increase. Let's go! Sega's announced that we'll be raising employee salaries again. In a press release, the company said it would be revising the levels of full-time employees as at its Japan subsidiary. It would be raising the starting salary for new employees. The increase has 2 purposes: creating an environment in which employees can work with peace of mind amid recent social changes such as rising prices, and recruiting and developing attractive human resources to strengthen global competitiveness. Let's fucking go. Starting April 1st, 2026, existing full-time employees will have their base salaries raised by an average of around 10%. That's a lot. 10%'s a lot. Incorporating part of its bonus system into the base pay and revising its compensation system to make it more flexible depending on the employee's role. As a result of this change to base salary, the new starting salary for university graduates joining Sega will increase by 10% from $1,900 per month to $2,100. That's such $1,900 a month to $2,100. That's like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's like, that's significant. That's a good amount. That's an extra, like, I'm gonna go celebrate and go out to eat kind of difference there. That rules. So hell yeah, Sega gets the dev dub. They're supporting their staff in a industry that is continuously shitting on their staff and for the vast majority of it. This rules. So Sega gets the dev dub. Thank you so much for actually being good to your staff members. And that's going to be it for this week's news. We are now fully caught up, and hopefully it stays like that. We're going to try our best. But thank you all for hanging out live and watching the VOD. Check out the links in the chat, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, TikTok. Try to have this up by Sunday if we can. If not by Monday. But that's going to be it for me for this week. You guys are the best. Make sure to comment in the comments, like the stuff, and do all the things that you need to do. I'll see you guys next time.